clear musical cadence to the.
Yeah,
Okay.
so whatever you want to play there. We
Oh,
often
right, right, right. Play a
do, we
couple
often
of
do,
it's quiet.
123, that's the one that we often defer to, if you want, but that's, I'm okay with it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I can play that one.
Yeah,
Super.
you know, very like soft and quiet kind of.
And then close it for him.
Okay. No rush, no hurry. It's over here on the side, right?
It should be.
Yeah, okay.
It should be. One quick thing.
Yeah.
Before we get those ones in shape. So let's just point out that, the congregation is not familiar with 287 or 157. So, maybe you could play a little bit of the first before we start
You can
singing.
do all three if you want.
We don't have to do it on the first one.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone the other two. Okay, all right, thank you.
Expand the repertoire today.
Yeah.
I feel like there was another question I had, but it's not coming to my mind now, so we're okay.
Feel free to throw me an airplane or something.
And if you could, maybe you could say that also, you know, we can, recognize and play a little bit of the first
Yes, Sophia.
What's her name?
Sophia.
Hi, Sophia. Nice to meet you. We're gonna do a thing called kids during service if you want to help us
A
out.
little time when we go
We're
back
gonna,
up and
in fact, everybody just comes back to service. So if you can, don't make sure anybody run up to come up here.
no, just you stop for me.
Just the one weird
Between
program,
our
right? Just the one.
Nice to meet you, Benjamin.
Yeah.
I think I get started now, right? Yeah, I get started now.
You can play whatever you want now, but the framing will start like 2 up.
2 minutes up.
Yeah.
It's gonna take me 6 minutes to get through everything.
Oh,
Then let's go ahead and start.
let's go ahead and start. I didn't realize.
6 minutes of music. That's
It is 2 minutes up, isn't it? It's 2 minutes up now, right?
We can just go for it. We can-
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Ann Pearl, and I'm your worship associate today. Besides welcoming all of you, I'd also like to welcome our friends at the First Unitarian Society of Westchester who are sharing services with us this summer and are watching us online. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. It's in your gray hymnal.
There you go, guys.
And I am the Secretary of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist of the Hudson Valley. Whether you've been with us a decade or more, or this is your first time, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of the past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our building sits as the ancestral homes of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. So I don't have any announcements, but I understand Ann has some.
I do. Members of FUSW, Please check the members section of the website for the latest about the renovation process at 210 North Central Avenue. There should be a new update added early this week. If you have questions, contact Lisa DeMora. Thank you.
For the most up-to-date information on the topics and others, please refer to our weekly e-newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you're present in the sanctuary, please join us for coffee and conversation in Fellowship Hall. If you're watching live stream, the link for our Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder in your email. If you're just recently joining us and would like to receive our weekly e-news, please email us at uucroton@gmail.com with your name, and we'll make sure you're added to our e-news list. And please remember to silence your phones at this time. And again, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist of the Hudson Valley.
Today we welcome our guest preacher, Benjamin Van Dyne. Benjamin is a PhD candidate in theology at Fordham University, where his work focuses on the interconnections between evolving concepts of race, personhood, and death. He also teaches undergraduate classes in religion and theology and serves on the coordinating committee for the labor union of Fordham's graduate workers. He grew up in the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington, Virginia, and remains connected with local church communities. He lives in the Bronx with his 2 children. Please welcome Benjamin Van Dyne.
I'm not sure I've ever actually gotten applause before. That's really nice. Let's keep doing that. Our invocation this morning are words from Eileen Carpelis. Out of wood and stone, out of dreams and sacrifice, the people build a home. Out of the work of their hands and hearts and minds, the people fashion a symbol and a reality. May this house be truly a place of meeting, meeting with one another in warmth and joy and openness, meeting with one another in courage and love and trust. May all who enter here trust one another so surely that they dare to share the deep fires that burst into anger, as much as the sweet spring waters that swell into laughter, the slow erosion of wounded tears, as much as the soaring song.
We now invite the children of our congregation to join some adult, hopefully. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. To ring our bell 8 times for our 8 ethical principles.
All right.
Yay. Today's chalice lighting words are by Nelson Mandela. I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way, but I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I've taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom come responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not yet ended. Please join me now in our unison affirmation. The words are in your order of service. inspired by love. Our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice.
Well, good morning again, and a special welcome to all of the youngest people among us. If you are one of the young or young at heart or just are feeling a little bit childish today, I would invite you to come right up here to this front row here. Come on up. There's no other bell to ring, sorry. All right, so I have a question for all of you. Have you ever looked inside of here? What do you think, if you had to guess, what would you say is in there? Stuff is accurate but not terribly precise. What do you think? Rocks, that's a good guess. What do you think? Nothing. There is, that's like the opposite of stuff. There is some stuff. Huh? Water. Does somebody want to go up and look and tell me if there's anything in there that's surprising? Why don't you all go up? Do you want to go too? Go up too. See if there's anything that surprises you. There's money. There is. Does anybody know what this is? Do anyone know who's on it? Doesn't matter. We're not talking about Alexander. This is a crisp $10 bill that I found when I was cleaning out my dad's car. And since he may not leave me anything else, I took a $10 bill. I brought it here with me. All right, so what I've decided to do with this $10 bill, since we kind of know each other, I've been here a few times, and even if I've never met you, I trust this whole community of people, is we have some decisions to make about what to do with this. And there are only 3 rules. So this $10 bill is for the 5 of you to do whatever you want with. There are only a few rules. First, I know if my kids were here, they would immediately think fireworks. So the first rule is it has to be safe. The second rule is you have to decide together. And the third rule is before you decide, you have to decide how you're going to decide. So before you have your conversation about what you're going to do with my entire inheritance, you need to figure out together how you're going to decide. Are you all going to agree? Are you going to take a vote? Are you going to let some other person decide? Are you going to say, I can decide, he can decide, somebody out there can decide for you? Before you decide, you have to decide how you're going to decide. Vote. Vote? Yeah. Okay.
Is that what do we get to vote?
Who votes? Is everybody going to vote?
Is it a simple majority?
So just to be clear, if 3 of you vote for something you really want, and 2 of you don't like that idea, the 3's going to get it. And how are the 2 going to feel? Not good? Are you expecting to be in the 3 or the 2? Just asking. Okay. So I have no idea how this is going to go. This is a complete experiment, and at any moment we might call it, and I put this back in my dad's car. But why don't you take about 1 minute to see if you can decide? Right now. could do this in 1 minute, I'm gonna be so impressed. It would take me an hour just to decide by myself what to do with this 10 minutes.
Food is like cheap McDonald's.
McDonald's feels like it's skirting the safe. I didn't hear you. I hear chicken? But I don't know. You can actually get a lot of live chicks for $10. You're welcome to the parents. Sticks to butters. All right. About 15 seconds. Food, again, is like not terribly specific. Have you decided what food? Okay, so we're looking for efficiency. Is everybody on board? You've sort of appointed yourself a spokesperson. Is there consensus on that? All right, I'll tell you what. In a minute, we're going to sing Go Now in Peace, you all can go on to your next thing. I'm going to put this right back here. And when we're all done in here, if you all can come back and say, we're going to spend it on this, and can you tell me what that is? It's yours. Deal? Yeah. All right, let's sing these kiddos out.
Together in community to share with one another, to support one another, and to celebrate with one another. We bear sacred witness to each other in this honored ritual. As we begin, we know that there are both great sorrows and great joys in our world that must be acknowledged as well. We light our first candle to honor those in pain, victims of violence and war and oppression all around our world. We light a second candle because we understand that amidst all of that pain, there is also celebration and joy in our world. We honor that joy and sorrow are woven together.
Turn it down.
For some of us here today, this has been a week of life-changing joy that needs to be lifted up in this worship. For others, this has been a time of deep pain and sorrow that needs to be shared to make the burden lighter. If this has been such a time for you, I invite you to come forward. I will light a candle, and to briefly tell us of your joy or sorrow. You may use the microphone to my left. You may also raise your hand in silent acknowledgement of your joys and sorrows, and I will light a candle for you. I'm going to start with our dear Rita Rotolo. As some of you may know, her son Stephen was in a very bad electric scooter accident in Boston where he lives. Rita rushed up there to be with him. Thankfully, he is doing better. And Rita would appreciate our thoughts and prayers to continue his healing process.
Hi, I'm Pat Krugman. I would like to light a candle of joy for what just transpired here. I loved the collaboration and the children talking and the surprise. I nominate all of them for the future Board of Trustees.
Hi, I'm Daria Gregg. You've seen me, some of you, in the back of the fellowship hall at my table trying to get out the vote as part of UU the Vote. I'll be there again this afternoon. If you want to give it a try, you can start with 5 letters, and if you've already done the 5 and you like it, we'll give you a pack of 20 in which you state why it's important to vote, and that's very personal for every person. Okay.
Hi, my name is Sherry. As chair of the membership committee, it's a joy that I'm so grateful for the rest of the membership committee, Eliana, Betsy, and Susie, for making the picnic yesterday at the park so amazing. We had a great turnout. We had croquet, we had, what else? Croquet and bocce and drums, and it was great food and a lot of fun. Thanks you for everyone that could make it. And branch fighting, right, don't forget that.
Good morning, everyone. Maria here. I just want to say that, as you know, my history with my journey with cancer, I'm cancer-free today, and as a result of the radiation and chemos at 60 and 60, there was a time when I really fell into a deep, deep depression and all the other side effects, and slowly I've been coming out of it. Thank you, heat wave, and I have to say that finally, I'm getting my mojo back, and I was able to look around me and say, I've been living in this dump? So finally, I said, okay. So after so many cups of beef broth and organic juices and protein, I finally was able to mow my floor of the mud, and I moved my refrigerator. I moved my stove. I moved my bed. And boy, did I feel. Thank you so much, because you folks are wonderful to me, and I come here to express that with joy, not out of egocentricity, but out of blessings. And since I find that in myself, I say, you know what? Each and every one of you has that strength within. Listen to that voice that guides you. It's lovely. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nora, and I'm finally allowed to announce that my daughter-in-law is pregnant again, and I'm going to be a grandmother the second time in January or February.
Just a brief joy to share. My 2 children, Simon and Oscar, are not here today. They are at the beach with their mother and grandparents. But it will probably be as surprising to many of you as it is to me. To those of you that have known Simon since I first started coming here 5 years ago, something like that. Today is Simon's 9th birthday. And he remains pretty short for his age, so I can't say he's like really shot up, but he's really grown in all kinds of other ways, and it's a real joy to now all of a sudden have a 9-year-old.
morning, everybody. I'm Dan. I'm the pianist. I just wanted to say it's a pleasure coming here again to play for everybody. It's always an honor to be here, so I just want to thank everybody.
I actually have one more, a joy for myself. Last night, I went to see a production of Fiddler on the Roof that both my husband and Luke Widener were in. And interestingly, Luke played my husband's son, so go figure. And it was a lot of fun. If you want to go see it, there's a performance this afternoon, and then one more weekend, next weekend from Thursday to Sunday. Brewster Theater Company is the name of the group. So we also have, anyone else? Okay, good. We light one final candle for all those joys and sorrows that remain unexpressed, and for those outside of our walls who are searching for a place to bring the wholeness of their lives and be received with love. So 2 more candles. As we hold and honor the sorrows and joys of the wider world, so do we also have personal joys and sorrows. Okay, we did that already. Sorry about that. Thank you. All right, it's still true. So everybody just think about that.
I invite you now to join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation. Feel free to settle comfortably into your seat, get that tailbone situated. Close your eyes if you'd like. Relax. Don't slump. Breathe in and out. As slow as you can manage. We'll start with some spoken words of prayer from the ancient theologian Eusebius. We'll have a few moments of silence, and then some music for meditation. May I be no one's enemy, and may I be the friend of what is eternal and abides. May I wish for every person's happiness and envy none. May I never rejoice in the ill fortune of one who has wronged me. May I, to the extent of my power, give help to all in want. May I never fail a friend. May I accustom myself to be gentle and never be angry with others because of circumstances. May I know good people and follow in their footsteps. meditation and prayer, please rise in body and or in spirit for a hymn that I think is new to many of you. Number 287 in this gray hymnal, number 287, Faith of the Larger Liberty. I think Dan's going to play it through for us once. Great. That is the only hymn I know that rhymes the word notwithstanding. You're welcome. Well, it's good to be back with you here again this morning. That was my last $10, so I don't have any of that more to offer you. But I do think it was interesting to watch the decision-making happen in real time. The first thing that they came up with, as you may have noticed, was a vote. And Unitarian Universalists are some of the votingest people out there. Even before we talk about making decisions about how we operate in our congregations or who gets my $10, according to a Pew survey, that's Pew, the survey organization, not Pew like what you're sitting in. According to a Pew survey, more than 90% of Unitarian Universalists are registered to vote. Some of that probably is because wealthier people are overall more likely to be registered. And Unitarian Universalists and Reformed Jews are roughly tied for the highest median income of any organized groups, religious groups in the United States. But some of it is also surely because we have this commitment to democracy as an expression in the political sphere of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. There is that Unitarian Universalist principle we rang a bell for that says that our congregations promote the use of the democratic process in congregations and in the wider world. And in congregations and in the wider world, many of us are familiar with the satisfactions that come from working something through a democratic process, and with the frustrations that come from not simply getting our way. Now, the larger polity of our democracy feels precarious right now, at least to me. There has been a consistent effort by right-wing forces to narrow the scope of the franchise, not only in places like the Deep South, but through voting laws and gerrymandering in, for example, Long Island or in Westchester. There is a phenomenon in political science called the paradox of tolerance. If a free society should tolerate everything, it can undermine the very conditions for tolerance in the first place. Because you end up tolerating people who want to promote intolerance. Such an expansive notion of tolerance ends up creating the conditions for intolerance because you're tolerating the intolerance. And maybe there's something true in democracy like that too. That this expression of the dignity of every person creates room for people whose instincts are anti-democratic. So there is a sense in which restrictions on voting and on speech are democracy's own bitter fruit. And of course, it's always worth remembering that in the United States, it has always been the case that democracy has always been as much an aspiration or even a hypocritical self-indictment as it has ever been a reality. This was true during the period of legal enslavement, during Jim Crow, and even in its own ways in the period between the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1965 and today. Now, though, I think we have a renewed sense of the precariousness of democratic life. There have always been those for whom democracy is an opportunity to restrain democracy. And in fact, that's more the norm than the exception, from Pericles to the present day. But I think it would be a mistake to imagine that the problem is just bad actors taking advantage of a system with inherent weaknesses. It is a pretty cheap use of a pulpit to think about the ways that other people are wrong. Look to the log in your own eye rather than the speck in your neighbor's, Jesus said. So rather than thinking about the ways that other people, bad people, are to blame, I want to offer a few thoughts, not some grand unified theory of democracy, not some anti-democratic thing where I just tell you what to think, but a few thoughts for our shared democratic reflection. So the first thing is, we should obviously vote. We should UU the vote. You can go write some letters after the service. Now, this one might be obvious, but I think it's worth saying again and again. Get out there and vote. And I'm not even going to pretend like I don't think it matters who you vote for. It matters a lot. And I think it's worth voting with that in mind. I don't know how much more there is to say about that, but I want to make sure to say it. Second, having said that, don't make an idol of voting. I worry sometimes that a people so committed to democratic process can make an idol of the voting booth. To imagine the act of voting as so dense with meaning that it amounts to something like the Eucharist of democracy. The holiest possible thing in concentrated, digestible form. Perhaps there's something a little revealing in the phrasing of that fifth Unitarian Universalist principle. We promote the use of the democratic process, as though it were obvious what the democratic process is. If there's any one thing it is, it's probably voting. But it's really important that it not be just any one thing. As someone who grew up in the 1990s, my adult life has seen a narrowing of the issues that are appropriately decided by democratic processes. And for most of my life, that narrowing was done by politicians from the center left, not the hard right. It happened above all in an appeal to expertise and the insistence that most things worth deciding could be decided by science, by statistics. It is sometimes called technocracy, from techne, the Greek word for knowing a particular skill or craft, and kratos, meaning power. Technocracy is ruled by experts. And it was all the rage of my early conscious life. The idea that experts will save us was taught to me, not by the Tucker Carlsons or the Donald Trumps, but by the Bill Clintons and the Barack Obamas. All we had to do was elect the people who knew what they were doing, or who would find the people who would. For me, maybe this was extra acute because I grew up in Washington, D.C., in a UU congregation that was 80% civil servants. The people whose whole job it is to evade politics because they are the experts. They don't do politics. They do reality. Now, I don't subscribe to conspiracy theories about, say, the Federal Reserve. But I think something like that is a great example of the limitations of that way of thinking. A great example of a way that a core aspect of our life together, economic life, was intentionally taken out of the hands of democratic institutions and given over to experts. When interest rates, I know, I'm going to talk about interest rates in a sermon. When interest rates first started going up a few years ago, Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, reported to a group of bankers that one reason interest rates need to be raised was that wages were rising too fast. So 3 things about this. First, I am not saying that Powell was wrong about the relationship between wages and inflation and interest rates. I think he's genuinely an expert in his field. If he says those 3 things are related, I believe him. My point isn't that the experts aren't experts, or that expertise isn't useful. My point isn't even that they're cynical or dishonest. I believe him. Second, look at to whom the experts are responsible. Do you remember who he said that to? A group of what? A group of bankers. Could he have said to a gather of labor unions that wages are rising too fast? If he would have gone to speak to labor unions in the first place. As somebody who earns part of my living from hourly wages, I dare him to come say that to me. I don't think wages are rising quickly enough. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, but the point is that it's not simply a decision for expertise. It's a matter of perspective, of who you are and where you sit, and whether you're the kind of person that Jerome Powell talks to. But third, and this is the core point, whether wages are rising too fast is not a technical decision, but a values one about genuine trade-offs, choices which benefit some people and not others. Somebody like Jerome Powell can help us understand what the trade-offs are. What is likely to happen if we choose this or choose that? But it comes down to who gets screwed and who gets the money. Now, yes, the Fed chair is appointed by the president is appointed by electors, and electors are voted on by the people, so it's not as though there's no connection between the people setting policy and voting. My point is that we have been given the option to vote for experts running things or no experts running things. And neither is an especially democratic option. If democracy is just in service of making sure we are run by other people who know best, then I think we're in trouble. I think we should aspire to expertise in service of the best democratic decision making. When I was growing up in that UU congregation in Washington, the central bragging point of Unitarian Universalists, not the official ones, not the ones we would ring the bells for or recite, but the one we would whisper each other very satisfied. The central bragging point was how much smarter we were than the other side. How we were committed to science and the other side wasn't. And again, maybe this was especially true for me growing up in DC with all those experts in their fields who, as a matter of law, were supposed to be insulated from politics. The kind of governance we valued was one that depended on experts to do as much of the decision-making as possible. But I think this technocratic orientation, rule by experts, rule by people who know their craft, is partly responsible for the narrowing of the sphere in which we practice democracy. I think partly that was a response to right-wing populism that has been ascendant since the late 1960s, and by the 1990s seemed to have foreclosed many opportunities for a deepening of democracy. But I think in liberal religious circles, there is another reason. We trust experts because they look like us. Unitarian Universalist congregations are the most highly educated religious institutions in the country. Statistically, on average, UUs have more letters after our names than any other religious group. And if we can speak honestly in this religious space, I think it is also because of the fact that on average, Unitarian Universalists are quite well off. On average. And perhaps it's natural to find oneself sympathetic to those whose expertise is in the system that already exists and has allowed us to thrive. Now, I don't say that to rail against communities like this one, but I think we should take seriously that it's not just other people's opinions that are shaped by the wealth and power and education and opportunity available to them. And I think our commitment to expertise might be such a thing, shaped by the kind of people we are, the kind of institutions we have constructed, the kind of people we say, those are people like us. A difficulty in confronting right-wing anti-democratic movements is that while it is racism and sexism, homophobia and transphobia that drive much of it, and while the paradox of tolerance is something that we do need to confront, they're not wrong about the ways in which democracy and expertise have been cast as incompatible. We need to insist that not only are they compatible, but that expertise is only worth it if it serves our shared life together. That we don't simply vote for the people with the letters after their name to do what they think best. We cannot abdicate that to other people. That is enlightened despotism. Enlightened despotism nonetheless. It matters little that right-wing forces are trying to narrow access to the ballot for political opponents in general and racial minorities in particular. It matters a lot, and we should fight for it. But they have not been the only ones trying to narrow the scope of democratic life. Our response needs to be not only that the franchise must be maintained, but that democratic life at every level must be renewed. So vote. Turn out other people to vote. But situate that in a larger revival of democratic life. Err on the side of making decisions for all of us. The first principle is about human worth and dignity. The fifth is about democracy. And the seventh is that we are all in this together. Whether we like it or not. So let's live, argue, organize, and vote for it. Now please join me in singing our hymn, our final hymn, which is another new one for the repertoire. Number 157 in your gray hymn note. 157, Step by Step. The longest march.
Ben, you want a full chorus?
Yeah, let's do the whole thing. Let's do the whole thing once through, right? Since
will also cash or a check in the offering plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make your donation via credit card or PayPal using the links provided in the e-newsletter or by visiting our website, UUCHV.org.
Many stones can form an arch. Singly none, singly none. Stones can be very, very heavy. And I don't know if you've ever tried to make an arch, but most of the time they fall down. It is not easy work. But many stones can